Hey, salute to everybody that's going to be joining me today. Happy Father's Day to all the great dads out here that have been in their kids' lives, the men who have made the sacrifices to make their families great and also this country great. Salute to you. Give the chat some time to populate. Everybody hit the like button when you come through. And on this Father's Day, my decision is really to have a conversation because I see a lot of people out here selling this game. Game is good, but it's not no good if it's ancient game. Understanding female nature, learning how women think, understanding the dating relationship market, these are all assets. But what's missing from the conversation is how society has evolved and how the minds and mentality of women have changed. Don't get me wrong, there's certain core things that are still in place that exist. But now we're in the age of technology. See, when I was growing up or when I was coming up in the 80s and the 90s, we didn't have the advantage of this, okay? This disproportionately advantaged women. Global dating market, give them more access to men outside of their neighborhood, outside of their even the dating and relationship market. And we've had 70 plus years of boosting women's self-esteem through feminism backed by corporations and the government. So typically what has happened now is that we've had so many years of this boosting and whatever else. We're dealing with a dating and relationship market that's not based on reality. The only reality is when women aged out and they just hit the wall. I don't even call it a wall. They just run out of the options for the men that they want. They age out. There's still somebody lining up to get them. But it's a difficult, unrealistic dating and relationship market for average men. And what I see a lot of time is a lot of dudes on these podcasts talking to OnlyFans girls, talking to 304s, talking to pay for play women. That doesn't correlate to the average, everyday, regular Joe. Hey, good morning, gunmetal guy. Salute to you, man. The average, regular Joe. And I see some of these game coaches, and I always wonder, when I listen to them talk, I'm like, what any of these guys would stand a background investigation? Like some of these guys have been married for the last 20 plus years. Like they have no connection with what the average young men have to face in 2025, especially in an environment where a lot of the young people were raised on computers. They have no idea the amount of delusion that exists in 2025 and how the dating and sexual marketplace has completely evolved and changed. So you'll see some guy or a guy that has higher status or money, power, and fame, or leverage in terms of his financial status, or old guy like me who's been working for the last XYZ amount of years, lecturing a young buck in his 20s about why he's such a loser. When you're established as a man and you grew up in a time period where, the 80s and the 90s, and you've built a certain amount of leverage and options, they're not in the same boat as you. Because again, there's three levels of men, three levels that generally women categorize man in three levels. There is the dude that she would sleep with and have sex with, regardless of what. That's her sexual dating and intellection DNA. That's the guy, even if he's out of jail tomorrow, they'll still sleep with him. They'll still have sex with him. That's her guy. Then there's the second tier of guys. This is what I call the security guy, the guy she marries when she's at the end of the ropes, the Boyce Watkins type guy, the so-called guy that gets her, towards the end. She's just really trying to secure a pension or secure financial security for the rest of her life. And then there's the guy that is just invisible to her, right? That used to be the case. But in 2025, even the average woman is, unless it's some type of financial game or some hardship or whatever, in 2025, because of the amount of delusion that's out here, the most average woman out here doesn't think that she's average. And most of the men that she sees, it's almost an offensive. It offends her when you talk to her because you've disrespected her value. And that's why you get such rudeness and whatever else. So we're not dealing with a normal dating and relationship market. We're dealing with mental illness and insanity. Me personally, I'll talk to everybody and kill them with kindness, but I wouldn't be caught dead trying to get the phone number or speak to a woman that's not giving me some sign of choosing signal, eye contact, a smile, some type of flirtatious or interest behavior towards me. But I'll still talk to her and respect her and give her kindness because that's just the way I flow. But unless you get some type of choosing and buying signal, you're just walking around like a piñata ready to get beaten. And somehow they have made this thing that you're just, as a man, you're supposed to just sign up every day, go out here and get punished. Go talk to 1,000 women and get maybe 10 numbers. That's the actions and behavior of a loser and somebody that doesn't have real purpose in their life. I mean, you got all the time in their day to be talking to women. You don't know who the hell you're talking to. And they're not even giving you no back, just walking around all day long. What type of loser are you? Walking around trying to talk to women. Why aren't you on your purpose? Why aren't you trying to make money? Why aren't you trying to get some leverage in this world? The majority of women you're going to meet that are going to be worth anything of substance are going to be met through social engagement, social interaction on your destiny to greatness. What's going on, my brother? Hey, salute to you, man. Happy Father's Day to you as well, man. Salute to you, my brother. But we have this conversation in this country, right? And you know what's so funny, Gunmetal Guy? I was thinking about it, right? The dudes that be trying to get dudes to be getting up on some of this so-called game, half of these dudes, if you examine the women that they be consuming, it's like that's trash. The majority of these dudes are eating out the trash cans. Half of these dudes is desperate and broke. Or the women that they're with are just hideous. Because they're trying to sell you something that's not even that real. I'll tell you how they be living. I saw this clip, right? This is how dudes be living for real in real life, right? I saw this clip, right? This is how dudes be living right here, who be selling that game shit. Let me remove that from the stage. This is how them dudes be living. This is really how them dudes be living.
Me rascal baby mother want double the child support now. She out here gunning me down.
Rasta monkey!
Boom back clot. She done sniff me out.
Me I come for you.
I can't survive the devil one woman. I feel my soul leave my dreadlocks. Me rascal baby mother want double the child support now. She out here gunning me down.
Rasta monkey.
Boom back clot. She done sniff me out.
May I come for you?
I can't survive the devil one woman. I feel my soul leave my dreadlocks. Me rascal baby mother want.
like dudes be living like that on Father's Day and shit like that. In here trying to sell you some game. You know what I mean? That's the dudes who be selling game. Yeah, like yo, you trying to sell some game? You trying to make your payments on these young bucks? Yeah, like come on, man. You know, and that's fundamentally, you know, like that dude, Rasta Monkey and shit. Look at him, he on the run. He gotta come in here and sell these game course, buy my course. You know, salute to the content creator. I'm gonna put him in the chat, man. Yeah, he trying to sell some game course. He living like this and shit. Look at him. That dude's terrified, right? He's terrified like a mug. He's like, let me get on the run.
Double the child support now. She out here gunning me down.
Rasta monkey.
Boom back clot. She done sniff me out.
May I come for you?
I can't survive the devil one woman. I feel my soul leave my dreadlocks. Me rascal baby mother want double the child support now. She out here gunning me down.
Rasta monkey.
Boom back clot. She done sniff me out.
May I come for you?
I can't survive the devil one woman. I feel my soul leave my dreadlocks.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you know, let me get that out of there. That's the dudes that be trying to sell you that game shit. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, because ain't nothing in life is free. Ain't nothing in life worth having is free. And that's the fundamental problem with it. And they're not considering the realities of life today. And I'm glad Psych Hacks did an incredible video on this idea of you just randomly approaching women. I'm not saying not to talk to women. Talk to women, kill them with kindness. But unless you want to be a pinata getting beaten, you better make sure that there's some type of energy flowing from that woman towards you. And this idea of this goofiness by numbers, what's going on? Red Pill Science, salute my brother. Welcome to the chat, man. But this idea that, you know, randomly walking up to strange women that you don't know and shooting your shot in 2025 without any attraction, confirmation, or any type of energy, like that makes you a man. And that's what they're trying to sell. And no matter how you get disrespected, you're supposed to just sign up every day for disrespect. It's the most insane, mentally ill thing I ever hear. You know, and at the end of the day, and the solutions to all your problems is to buy my course, right? Buy my course. It never works. Maybe in 1995, it would have worked. But not today. It's not happening today. So let's get into the first clip we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about why many of today's women are so basically how flake out on guys that approach them. Right? And like I said, it's almost like an insult for many guys that are not that woman's type to be walking up to her. And let's understand the psychology of it. Let's go to our brother, Dr. Ryan Terabin. We're going to talk about the delusion that's out here on the sexual marketplace. But let's understand, for those guys who get flaked on, who are still living the hope strategy in terms of walking up to random women as sold to them on the internet like they have a chance in hell. Here's the psychology and the mentality. So look, fair use. Let me make sure I give credit to Dr. Ryan Terabin. In this video, he really discussed why women are mean and cruel, especially to the men that they are not attracted to. So what happens inevitably, right? The guy selling you a course will see a guy like Dr. Ryan Terabin, and to discredit him, what they'll say is he's a nerd. These nerds don't know any better. These internet nerds. That's what they will say. Because they want you to buy their course. Right? So they'll call a guy like that a nerd. These nerds don't know any better. Right? While they sit around surrounded by their OnlyFans girls who they have to pay. They ain't free. They paying these women to be around them. That's why I say, like, if I had to do a background investigation on most of these guys, they wouldn't sustain it. They wouldn't sustain it. These are women that are hanging around for clout, hanging around to be on the internet. So really, what they're really demonstrating is the power of leverage and options. It has nothing to do with any game. It's just, if you want to call leverage and option game, that, well, yeah. They're positioned in a position of power. Power attracts women. Money, power, and fame. There's no specific game about that. You have money, power, and fame, you can attract women. Or you have a certain amount of indifference and success attached to the indifference. Or you just have the certain, you were born with a certain dating and relationship superior DNA, which is a natural attractive thing that women prefer. Or you're part of one of the dark triads of men that certain women like. But for the regular average Joe, for the first of all, half of these women, that the majority of these women that these guys are with, you wouldn't want to touch them with a 10-foot pole in the first place, because most of them are just 304s. So, and the logic behind it is, I'm going to teach you how to run up bodies, but at the same time, I'm going to shame women for being 304s. Imagine that logic. I'm going to teach you how to run up bodies, but at the same time, I'm going to shame women for being 304s. It doesn't make any logic. Then I'm going to get self-righteous on you. Then when you walk up and approach 100 women and get punished like a piñata, I'm going to say the problem is you, because you're lame and you have no swagger. And maybe you need to buy my course again. So it's a circle of buffoonery that doesn't make any damn sense. So let's continue on with Psych Hacks. And he talk about why women are mean to men who like them. Which in reality is that why women are mean to regular average guys that approach them and trying to get their number. What the pickup artists don't really tell you. Salute to Dr. Terabin. I'll put his link in the description.
Terabin, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is, I did. This is a very important thing to understand. If you don't believe in yourself, then it won't matter if every other person in the world does. And if you do believe in yourself, it won't matter if every other person in the world doesn't. It is your belief in your own potential that makes 100% of the difference with respect to what you accomplish in life. Today, I'm going to illustrate this with a particularly satisfying example from my own life. But just so it's not all about me, along the way, I'm also going to explain why it is that some women are mean to men who like them. So that's the hook to keep you watching. Let's get to it. Many, many years ago, I completed my undergraduate education at New York University's Tisch School of the Arts in an acting conservatory there. And my first year of college was really hard. Like in most cultures, there is a definite status hierarchy among actors. The people who are cast as leads are generally higher status than the people who are cast in smaller roles, who are generally higher status than those who don't get cast at all. And in an acting conservatory, your social position is largely determined by these outcomes. However, at NYU, freshmen are prohibited from auditioning for shows. In your first year, you're just expected to acclimate and focus on your training. And that kind of means that during that first year, no one really knows yet where they fit into the social hierarchy, as this is revealed in the crucible of competition. Like it's hard to know who is fastest before the race is run, right? So at this point, I hadn't yet had a chance to show my chops. I was also kind of a loner. I had difficulty acclimating to New York. I found it overwhelming. I didn't have money or friends or a girlfriend. I spent most of that first year just trying to get through it as best I could. That said, I was there because I believed in myself. I was struggling, but I knew I had it in me to be a successful actor. And frankly, I was a little surprised why that wasn't immediately apparent to other people. In any case, I didn't have any of the usual signifiers of status, and I hadn't yet been given the opportunity to participate in open competition. So it was a tough year. And to make matters worse, that year, I developed a crush on a young woman who was in the same program as me. However, every time I went up to talk to her, she was real mean to me, like viciously mean. Mean to the point of being cruel, especially when I would speak to her in front of other people. It was almost like she was offended she had to share the same air as me. It was the vibe that she was giving off. Now, this obviously didn't make me feel good, but even more than feeling hurt, I remember feeling confused. Like I wasn't rude or aggressive or inappropriate. Why was she behaving so nastily? After all, I was just...
Hey, gentlemen, make sure you guys hit the like button. Hit the like button.
offering to take her out to dinner, get to know each other. So what's with the hostility? How is that justified? And of course, I've since learned this experience is hardly unique to me. It's one that millions of men have passed through. And like me, it typically leaves them scratching their heads. What is going on? Well, I can explain this to you. I can explain why women can be hostile and mean to men, even in the absence of any conceivable provocation. It has to do with differences in perceived status. Like it's not a coincidence that I began this story by describing my circumstances that first year of college. I had no way to demonstrate my status in a public-facing way, just some confidence and a belief in my own potential. And I was dealing with an attractive young woman who had, let's say, a certain idea about herself. So in her mind, she was up here and I was down here. And a woman who is placed in that dynamic against her will, who has that dynamic imposed upon her, wants to get rid of that man as quickly as possible. And there's a reason for that. Remember, women tend to mate and date up. They don't mate and date down. So if she thinks that she's up here and he's down there, and he thinks that he still has a shot with her, then she is going to deduce one of two things. Either A, that the guy is completely delusional and or doesn't understand how the game is played, neither of which make him an attractive option, or B, the man is somehow communicating with his interest that he believes that she is actually down here, which is an insult to her ego and self-esteem. Higher status women tend to receive lower status men's interest as an insult, as it implies that she is lower status than she believes herself to be. This is why it is very important that they not be seen with those men, as status is largely dependent on what...
Now, what he said was, higher status women. But what is higher status? Now, before social media and before women got hooked on this delusional crack, if you go back to the 80s and 90s, or even the 70s, women were limited to the options in their neighborhood, in their community, maybe even just their state or anybody they had access to. But in 2025, we have this. And now you have global reach for both men and women, but it benefited women more than it did men. So the average 18 to 25-year-old young lady has global reach and access to men from different neighborhoods, men from different communities, men throughout the state, each state, all states in the union. A woman has tremendous reach for men. There's constant interaction on social media, constant attention, constant validation. They spend their whole life. Then you have the panda bear community. Then you have the positivity movement. Then you have all these positivity movements, all this stuff. Everybody, and there's a financial motive to it as well. Absolutely. Boosting women. We have Derrick Jackson, over 5 million subscribers. All day long, he's boosting women all day long. So what we have today is a modern woman, not in all cases, there's some logical, rational women, that is out of touch with reality, except for the men that are obviously above and beyond the dating and relationship pay grade. But in their mind, they believe they're entitled to those men, because now, even so more than ever before, they can still have sex to these men or access with these men. And wherever you set her sexual bar is wherever she gets trapped to. Right. So wherever she sets her bar, okay, let's say she was in college and she had sex with that 6'10" dude or that dude on the basketball team, or she just gets access to a man that has a lot of money and she had sex with that man. In her mind, that's the man she's entitled to. Or she has believed all these fantasies and the movies and the shows of this great white knight, the hero that's going to come and rescue her and be the man of her dreams. In her mind, that's the man that she deserves. So we have the boosting of social media. We have the boosting of a campaign. Again, we live in a gynocentric environment, corporate sponsored feminism. Women spend money. So you got to boost women up if you want to make any money. That's why making content for women is so profitable, because you make a lot of money telling women what they want to hear. What you don't make money doing is telling women the truth. It's just not profitable to a certain extent. I mean, Kevin Samuels made money, but women were attracted to the fact that he was talking to women and the drama associated with it. But most people donating to the show were men, majority of the time. Maybe a small section of women that did contribute, but because he was talking to women. Kevin Samuels was talking to men for a long ass time. Nobody gives a rat's ass about him. In fact, nobody really cares about men or men's issue. This is Men's Mental Health Month. I mean, people want it to go by faster. They want Men's Mental Health Month to disappear. So what we're dealing with now, and I think it's going to come to a crossroads, we're dealing with man versus insanity. That's the dating and relationship market. Man versus a crazy person that don't even live on the same planet as you. So you're going to walk up to some person who thinks that they're 10 times better than you, and you're going to ask them for their number. To them, they see that as disrespectful, and they're offended. They're offended by it. It's the same thing that you would feel is some 400-pound woman walk up to you. She's, overweight, oversized, and, she hasn't taken a bath in a long time. If she walked up to you and asked you for your number, you'd be like, yo, am I down this bad? That's how they feel when the average guy walks up to them. That's what the dating coach is not telling you, because in their mind, they're not in touch with this planet. They're hooked on the drug. See, attention is the most dangerous drug in America right now. And they're getting a lot of it. Validation, constant attention, reaffirmation. The Panda Bear community is affirming them. Shoot, you got Yada talking about, dudes should be paying her $50,000 before he hit. We got all these dudes telling them how wonderful they are. Now you, regular Joe Smo, who's probably about leagues above her sexual value, you're gonna walk up to her and ask her for her number. She's gonna look at you like, man, who you think you lowering my value by asking me for my number? Who you think you are? So she feels disrespected and offended that you would actually walk up to her, look at you. Do I look like something that would date you? You offend her because you're regular. She's regular as hell. You look at her, you look at you like, damn, we're pretty much average people. See, you're thinking logically, rationally, and you're in touch with reality because nobody's boosting you every day. That's why, when guys go places like Thailand and stuff like that, they be like, whoa, they get all boosted up. They boost them. Obviously, they be trying to get some money out of them. They don't get that attention. But imagine every day people tell you how great you are, how wonderful you are, how special you are, how good looking you are. Imagine what that can do to somebody's brain. And that's what this does. Every post you make on social media, they all like you. They tell you how wonderful you are. And now you want their number and you're telling them that they're not wonderful anymore. They're regular just like you. That's going to infuriate them. But let's continue on.
What is visible to others. Rather, they would want to be seen being courted by handsome and attractive men, as the latter's high status interest would increase the former's perceived sexual marketplace value even further. And the fastest way to get a man to leave you alone is to hurt his feelings. Immature or low character women are also more likely to resort to cruelty for this purpose, but almost all women will resort to this tactic if more subtle responses don't work. If you're interested in taking your understanding to the next level, I would encourage you to check out the cap. Click the link against this. It would be easy for me to judge this kind of behavior. Now, as a guy who has experienced this, it would be easy for me to judge this kind of behavior negatively from the place of my hurt feelings. Like, who do these women think they are? But to be honest, I actually understand it. And I understand it because I have been placed in a similar dynamic in other aspects of my life. Take my YouTube channel, for instance. I've worked very hard for years to build my channel and grow my audience by pouring my heart and soul, my wisdom and experience into these episodes. This effort has paid off in a number of ways, and I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity this success has brought. By the same token, every day, I now get propositioned by people who started a podcast last week, have 12 subscribers, and want to do a collaboration with me. Now, I'm not easily insulted, but I can certainly understand how someone else might find that proposal insulting. And why is that? Because either A, these folks are delusional and or don't understand how the game is played, or B, they are communicating with their interest that they believe I'm on par with their Uncle Ted, who they interviewed last week. I know it's not a good look to talk like this, but This is how the world works, guys. If I show up on every 2-bit podcast with a dozen followers, I'm going to significantly dilute the impact of my message, which is at cross purposes with my mission and everything I've worked for years. What's more, a collaboration would disproportionately benefit the other party. Like, what would I have to gain from such a partnership? As I discuss in my book, relationships are only formed when unequal goods of comparable value are exchanged. If the proposed values are too disparate, then the transaction, if it occurs at all, becomes a form of charity, not a real relationship. And while I definitely don't respond to these proposals with cruelty or malice, I typically don't respond at all, this is the same underlying dynamic that occurs when a low-status man propositions a high-status woman. It's like, shoot your shot, man, but don't be surprised or insulted if you don't really get anywhere. That's feedback into your marketing, your perceived value, or both.
And he makes a valid point there, but the only difference is he's referring to earned value. The value that he described is a value that he had to work hard for to gain. What we have now is a delusional value. And he did say perceived, because again, the perception is that she's more valuable in her mind and boosted by a society that has boosted her to believe this in her mentality. Realistically, if you were to add a traditional value based on what has happened with sexual liberation and how women have mismanaged their youth and mismanaged their body, the average woman is actually less valuable than the average man because she has been artificially boosted. Because I mean, the value of the licked burger, men prefer purity, men prefer women that have not been ran through. So realistically, it is a artificial boosting and a perception of value that is pushed by society. So in essence, the sexual marketplace and the dating and relationship marketplace, it is a fraud. But the problem is that men don't know their value because they've been beaten down so much by the culture and by society. They have this perception that the woman in front of them is so much more valuable than them, as they've been led to believe based upon the society that we live in and how we systematically support women. So realistically, it's not even real value. It's just an imaginary thing. That's why we have an epidemic of post-nut clarity. You notice those dudes get in a relationship with these women, and after they've emptied out and they can see her for who she is, them dudes be like, man, this chick is awful. And they join the run. They run from her too, because what happens? She's been boosted all her life. She never had to develop a personality or really take care or look out for a man or understand how to keep a man. They're not teaching these young girls or these women how to keep a man. Most of these women can barely boil water. They don't know how to be nurturing and caring and affectionate. Then there's not even no intimacy with sex for certain dudes that they're with. So they haven't been taught how to keep a woman or how to keep a house. So after that nut, I mean, what else are you going to do with her? She look good on your arm. Maybe she look good when you take her out, but she has no womanly skills. So what happens? Yeah, that was something going on with that stream, but I'm back in here. Yeah. So let me go back to that video real quick. Yeah, that was something going on with that stream, but I'm back in here. Yeah. So let me go back to that video real quick. Yeah, that was something going on with that stream, but I'm back in here. Yeah. All right, here we go. I don't know. YouTube may want me talking about this stuff today. There we go. All right. So this is where we're at today. All right. Yeah. There we go. Add back Dr. Terrapin. So again, get back to what we was talking about. So artificially boosting women and creating this environment of pure delusion for profit. Because remember, women do 80% of the spending. 80% of the spending is done by women. So there's an incentive to keep women delusional. Keeps them single longer, keeps them doing crazy things like, demanding higher dating and relationship standards. It has backfired though, because they weren't really expecting men to be like checking out and whatever else. But again, there's no basis in reality that we're dealing from. We're not operating from a basis in reality. We're operating from pure delusion. Pure delusion. So what we have in that is what I call the unicorn dating and relationship market, where you're dealing with a situation of 5% value. Sexual liberation has not helped this because, again, by the time these women get ready to, feminism and sexual liberation hasn't helped any of this, because by the time these women get ready to settle down, they've really, 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 really misused their bodies in terms of enjoying the sexual marketplace. And that's really the fundamental flaw in the whole situation, is that, what are you getting special? So let me let the doctor continue on.
In any case, let's return to my story. Starting my sophomore year, I was finally allowed to audition for shows, and I started to land leading roles in increasingly high-profile productions. Doors began to open, one thing led to another, and this ultimately culminated in getting cast as the lead in the school-wide main stage production my senior year. This would be equivalent to playing first violin at Juilliard. As I remember, as the news began to spread, the woman I mentioned earlier, the same woman who was nasty to me all those years ago, came up to me and said, "Wow, you're the lead in the main stage? Huh. Who would have thought you would get so far?" And I looked that woman dead in the eye and I said, "I did." And I walked the fuck away. Now, besides being one of the more satisfying mic drops of my personal life, it illustrates the principle I mentioned at the top of this episode. I believed in myself. I knew what I could do, even when no one else did. And this is to be expected. Listen to me carefully. No one can see your fucking potential. It is completely invisible to the outside world. The rest of humanity can only see your results. However, you need to be able to see your own potential in order to make it through the trouble and the difficulty and the expense of generating those results by competing successfully in the various arenas of life. And this is why you need to be very honest with yourself about who you are, where your talents lie, and what you can and cannot do. This will increase the likelihood that you can go all in on races you can actually win. which will help prevent you from becoming a burned out also-ran. You will need to believe in yourself because no one else will for a very, very long time. Again, take my YouTube channel. For the first couple of years, I was putting out 4 episodes a week, and it was 10 views, 2 likes, and the only comment was, "Your microphone sucks, dude." And it's not like my friends and family were calling me up on the regulars, telling me, "Hang in there, Orion. I know you can do it. I believe in you." In fact, many of these people might have secretly wanted me to fail, as the success of a peer is an affront to the vanity of others. My point is, don't expect support from anybody. The reason you're not succeeding is not because other people don't believe in you. No one believes in you. But that wouldn't matter if you did. So what do you say? Do you believe in yourself? Let me know in the comments below. And if you got your own special mic drop anecdote, you can write it down there too. Please send this episode to someone who you think might benefit from its message, because it's word of mouth.
Salute to Dr. Ryan Terabin. And realistically, we're going to get into this conversation. Okay, what do you say, Leos? He said, the more they are boosted, the more chaos and profit they get on the upper levels. It inhibits uprising and legitimate questions of the system. Facts. And again, even as a successful guy, now he has money, power, and fame. But we talk about young men. See, the thing about it is this, okay? There's this adage of boss up. Boss up, in my opinion, is about you living the best life you possibly can get. Early retirement, financial freedom. There's opportunities now, especially with the market. I know they're having a war going on in the Middle East right now. But for young people, young men, it is a very difficult situation because, again, they're competing against a world, an artificial world. It's like they're competing against AI, the AI boosting. And you're dealing with delusion. How do you counter delusion? Like the doctor right now, he's gotten to a level of success. He's probably a multimillionaire right now. He has money, power, and fame. Now, the woman that in question, good thing he curbed her ass, because now all of a sudden he's got it, and she's attracted to what she sees. She's attracted to success. She still feels the same way about the man, but the success is just so, intoxicating to certain women. That's why you see in many instances, you see certain guys are able to get certain women, but in the confines of as long as they're out here and free, they're going to have sexual access to certain women. But in the long term, if that woman ever gets leverage in a relationship where the state is involved, that's when she becomes a purely hell. You add the state, that leverage is gone. She just becomes another problem. But this is how, when I talk about, because of the delusion out here, this is what the average guy looks like walking up to a woman in today's society. If you don't have you're not getting any choosing signals or any buying signals from a woman, this is what you look like walking up to random women, trying to do pickup game or trying to do whatever else. And most of the women are telling you to leave them alone. You know what I mean? Like they literally telling most guys, kick rocks. Don't even get in my face. Because in her mind, you're like, this is what you look like. And the delusion out here is so crazy. It's so crazy out here. Hold on one second. Had to respond to something real quick. Respond to a quick message. Anyhow, but the fact of the matter is this. This is usually the scenario that you see. And no course is going to change this. You're either what these women want or you're not. It's really that simple. And if you're not what they want, you're offensive. Some of these women may let you down slowly because they were raised right. The others will just, if they're low quality women, she's just going to be purely cruel and offensive towards you. So it really comes down to a situation of how much punishment are you willing to experience, which is absolutely crazy. See, women don't care because that's why they always have all this shaming. Say, man up, come get this good spanking, come beat this pinata ready to get beaten. Come and do it. And I think a lot of dudes, hey, salute to you, man. Happy Father's Day, Top Gun. Peace and blessings to you, man. Salute, my brother. A lot of dudes is selling that old ancient dating and relationship strategy that don't work in 2025. You know, that shit don't work today. because they're not calculating how insane a lot of today's women are, how insanely delusional the majority of them are. And if you're just randomly walking up to women, or you just see a woman and she looks attractive, and she's not giving you any type of hint that she would whatever or whatever else, they see you. These women see everything. They can see you. They see you out of their peripheral. Let me tell you something. When they see a guy they want, they pay attention to him. They pay attention to him. I mean, you can they ain't blind, you just invisible. It's like, it doesn't make any sense, right? These women see you. They're just not interested in you. It's just really that simple. And if they're not interested in you, they're interested in you because you don't look like anything they want. It's really that simple. And if you're not anything they want, why are you bothering them? Unless you're a loser. I give you an example. Let me show you an example. Okay? This guy is called the Walker Man. All right? He's just out walking, right? Watch how these women respond to him. Obviously, he's a very good-looking gentleman. He takes care of himself. But let me show you that these women see you. They're just not interested in you because most of them, they think that their options is this guy right here. So let's make it simple. Right here. What game is he spitting? Look at him. Look at her. You see the choosing signals? Look at that. Boom. Boom. Choosing signal, choosing signal, choosing signals everywhere. Let's see. Let's move on to another one. Ready? Let's go. He's just walking. Look at that. You see that? So we just played that one. So he's just walking down the street. And the women themselves see him. They're not blind. And that's what a lot of dudes don't understand. Women are not blind. They're communicating to you. So the question is, and we're going to get back into the conversation. In many instances, you don't have to sell what's already been sold. And that's the fundamental problem that you see. For the average guy in 2025, walking up to women like that, now, if we're talking about social settings and social networks, or the guys who travel or whatever else, there's a different interaction that you're getting, because now you're embedded in a social class, in a social group, with a social hierarchy, where there's social connection, where the individual, their personality, who they are as individuals, there's more depth to the interactions that you're getting with people. There's more depth to it. As opposed to just walking around here on the street, walking around and just talking to random women trying to get their number. Now you're dealing with social situations, which is where most people met for so much of our life, so much of our time. Most people met and connected through work, through school, through social events, social activities. But that's not the case in 2025. The internet is big. Instagram has become one of the biggest dating, it's like a dating site. And everybody there is connecting. And options tremendously favor that percentage of men, the men that have money, power, and fame, or the men that have the dating and relationship DNA that certain women prefer. And they're getting attention from those particular men. That's just the way the market is. Now, if you're playing that particular game a lot, now that's why when you see these passport bros came through with the travel game, which is basically men just basically increasing their status in another place, in another culture, where they stand out, where their average guy stands out in that environment. Because at a certain level, certain women appreciate and value an average man, because most of the women are not government empowered. Here, women make money, make a tremendous amount of money. You know, hey, salute to you, my brother. Happy Father's Day to you, man. That's my man, man. You know, fellow retired brother. Salute to you, man. Peace and blessings to you. Happy Father's Day, man. But when you're in those environments, it changes things, because again, a woman that makes, let's say a woman makes $100,000 a year. That's about the equivalent of a man that has 20 women at his disposal. So in essence, she already, because women equate economic status with optionality in terms of the dating and relationship market. That's how they look at it. I make money, so therefore I'm entitled to a certain man that looks a certain way or that has a certain status with me. They don't consider that maybe they're fat, they're out of shape, or they're just undesirable, or even that they're insufferable. They see themselves based upon their social, their status in terms of, you know, whatever hierarchy in society, not in terms of what we value as men. So when you have a guy that's cold approaching a bunch of women out here, in her mind, there's one status, even though it doesn't connect with her reality. Because like I said, it's boosted by a drug called social media. It's boosted by feminism. It's boosted by a society that pushes women to keep them shopping and spending money. You know what I'm saying? There's no self-esteem movement for men. Self-esteem movement for men is a swift kick in the ass, which is what they've been doing right now with Gen Z men. It's kicking them in the ass and telling them what lazy, worthless degenerates they are. That's basically what the self-esteem movement is for men. And even to a point right now where they know they need them to win elections. They know they need them to make babies out here. I mean, but they're not even coming at the women that have basically decided to put career and enjoying their freedom ahead of family. So they're not even coming at them. They're just coming primarily at the young men who are basically born into a system, born in like a gynocentric system that have been trying to feminize men for the last 70 years or plus. So now, you know, it is what it is. Now we're gonna come at these young men and beat them down even more for not being the men that they weren't raised to be, which is ludicrous to me. You didn't raise them to be the men that you're demanding that they be something that they weren't raised to be. Instead of putting the failure on the system that raised them. Not saying that you should let them off very easy, but they have no compassion towards the young men because they really don't care about men. They care about the fact that men are not being cogs in this machine of capitalism. They certainly don't care about men's mental health. They only care about men's mental health as it affects the bottom line. It affects the bottom line because they're forced to care about men. You know, because like, damn, we need these Gen Zs to breed some kids for us. Not only that, they're huge voting bloc that have turned conservative, and you know, we gotta get these guys going. That's why they put out but everything that they talk about in terms of the young men themselves, even is them as a service to others. And this is what masculinity is. Masculinity is everything you need to do for anybody else. And they're really disgusted by any conversations that men will actually require something for their sacrifices. Like, it's offensive to them to think that men require things. Like, you got to give the circle of energy, give something back to a man for him to give his life or give his service or whatever, or give his commitment. You know, like it's like marriage. Marriage is supposed to be all about the woman, and the man gets nothing other than duties and responsibility. So even when you hear them talk about, they don't even have no, like, they want Gen Z to be more productive, but all they have for them is shame and disrespect. They don't even respect them enough to pander to them. That all they got is a kick in the ass. That's all they get for them. That's how disrespect. They need them. They want them. But I'm going to call you a loser and a degenerate, which is what they're basically saying, you know, with Gen Z. So we have so many videos where women have requested that men not approach them, get out their face, you know, calling them names, call them losers, call them whatever else. And yet we have people still shaming the very same men who listen. So they requested that men not approach them. And we try to pretend I mean, it's almost like it's offensive, right? It's funny right here, quick. So I remember this. I remember this one right here. Sorry, but I had to. Remember this one right here, right? Now we don't know what she think is ugly.
So I want y'all to watch this video of this woman. She says she has a problem with ugly men, whatever that means, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, correct? Well, she has a problem with ugly men approaching her. Let's go ahead and roll that.
When ugly men shoot their shot at me, it really lowers my self-esteem because you looked in the mirror this morning and then saw me later on during the day and said, yeah, she want me. She gonna want me, bro. No, that hurt my feelings. Like, I don't know. I just like, God, forgive me. Let me not talk about your children on the internet, but for real, the message, hopefully you understood it. Don't come my way if you don't look grade A, clean, well kept, and no kids, big pockets. They gotta be at least match mine, but hopefully they way bigger. Because what the heck is going on out here? Like, I really feel like I want to get restraining orders on y'all sometimes just because the audacity. What the going on?
Ma'am, the only one I see in this video who
No. Don't shame her. No, let her speak her piece. She basically said, ugly men don't approach me. Get out of her face. That's the way she feels. What she deems ugly is her prerogative and her business. Unless you're getting some choosing signal from these women, why you be in their face? You want them to say what they believe on the internet to save your ass some time and energy. You want them to say that. Let them say what they really think. Whether it be delusional or not, that's a prerogative. Don't approach her. Let them live in their own delusion. You know, and no more a pickup game is going to save you if you're not her type. But there's a dude somewhere that she's in his DM. She's chasing him around. I mean, you look at it. There's some dude somewhere that this chick right here, there's a dude somewhere where she is sending him text messages all day long. Why you ain't call me back? I text you 5 times. There's a dude somewhere that she's texting like that, and it ain't you. So you want them to say what they say and believe what they believe. You're not missing anything, but at the same time, you never want to keep them from telling the truth. Look at the confidence what she's saying it. She's basically trying to discourage people.
of this woman, she says she has a problem with ugly men, whatever that means, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, correct? Well, she has a problem with ugly men approaching her. Let's go ahead and roll that.
When ugly men shoot their shot at me, it really lowers my self-esteem because you looked in the mirror this morning and then saw me later on during the day and said, yeah, she want me. She gonna want me, bro. No, that hurt my feelings. Like, I don't know. I just like, God, forgive me. Let me not talk about your children on the internet, but for real, the message, hopefully you understood it. Don't come my way if you don't look grade A, clean, well kept, and no kids, big pockets. They gotta be at least match mine, but hopefully they way bigger. Because what the heck is going on out here? Like, I really feel like I want to get restraining orders on y'all sometimes just because the audacity. What the going on?
Man.
Right. So it lowers her self-esteem. And that's why that's why a lot of women are mean to certain men approaching them That's not their sexual select preference. You woke up today and you looked at yourself in the mirror and you decided to come ask me for my number. Even the one she's saying out loud what many of today's modern women think. You decided that you and me were equal. So whether they're hooked on delusion or not, that's the way they think. What they feel is what they operate on. Women are controlled. Women are loyal to their feelings. Women are controlled by their feelings. So if they feel in their own metaverse or universe or matrix that they're better than you, you walking up to them is only going to get you cooked. So without any buying signals or signals of attraction, what the hell are you doing? Unless you take great pleasure, you're in some of that autoerotica asphyxiation crap, where you take great pleasure in getting your ass grinded like a meat grinder. So you think that you're just going to go buy some course and it's going to help you overcome this? You're not her dating and relationship DNA. But there is a guy that she's begging for attention. It ain't you. So this is the reality of the sexual and dating relationship marketplace in the West. One group of people have forced to live in reality, which is men. Women get to live in their own parallel universe, but yet people are shaming the young men or shaming men that they must risk it all because they're men, because they don't care about the consequences they don't care about men's pain and men's suffering. Oh, just get beaten like a piñata, get up again. You know, yeah, maybe you're 2 for 1,000. You know, but same thing. I tell young men to boss up for financial freedom, early retirement for them. Because let's say everybody bossed up to $1 million, then what is the value of $1 million? If everybody bossed up to $1 million, what is the value of $1 million? So now you got to boss up again to $2 million? Then you're going to boss up again to $3 million when everybody gets to $2 million? You can make the argument that very few people are going to boss up anyhow. But then that gives you an advantage. What is that doing? Because the funny thing about it, the dude that smashes these women, he just got out of jail yesterday. He ain't been bossed up to nothing. Except putting some lotion on some dude's back in the jail cell. But the guy who got out of jail yesterday will smash a woman like this because he is her dating and relationship DNA. You're not. So you're really bossing up to get women that wouldn't like you anyhow. But the dudes these women are sleeping at, some of them live in mama's basement, borderline homeless. She's not talking like this with Mook Mook. Mook Mook crush her out at night at 11 p.m. He's got the look. He's what turns her on. She's begging him to come over. So this is really just for, whatever do. So you're going to walk up and talk to this woman? You're crazy. Whoever's going to do it is insane. She knows who she likes, and they can see everybody around them. Women are very intuitive. They see something they want. There ain't nothing stopping them from going after what they want. Whether it be for money, whether it be for looks, whether it be for genuine attraction, nothing stops women from making it known when they see something that they want. They have no problem making themselves visible or making themselves seen. You can't game that. It's just what they are. They're visible, and they make themselves visible for the things that they want and value in life. They do. They absolutely do. They can see it. They can see it. I remember the one time the one Atlanta The one Atlanta guy, right? Remember this? Let me help you out real quick. Hey, salute to you, man. Peace and blessing. Appreciate the support, man. Hey, thanks, man. Hey, appreciate the super chat, man. Remember this, right? See, let me explain something to you. All right? Right here. Remember this guy, right? This guy right here. Let me tell you why most of this game shit is lame. This dude has what I call the dating relationship DNA that the women want, or certain types of women want. What game is he putting? He's spitting some game. He is the game to them. He's homeless. This is when women talk about $100,000 plus a year. This dude is homeless. Watch this.
About the homeless man in Atlanta who made a public plea for a place to stay, and more than 1,000 women responded. This man, who goes by the name of Big Boss Escobar, posted in a Facebook group called Atlanta Rooms for Rent. He said, I recently lost my home, just need a place that is reasonable price so I can get back on my feet. I'm tired of sleeping in Atlanta shelters, very quiet person and stay to myself, work a job, and also have a clothing line. I moved to Atlanta from St. Louis, Missouri 4 years ago. If anybody have any resources you can send my way, I will accept. Thank you. I appreciate it. And of course, the women came through. You can come stay with me, boo, a woman named Britt wrote. Off bed, cold AC, plenty of food, and the Wi-Fi jumping. A woman named Tish Lee wrote, you can stay with me. A woman named Courtney said, woo, if you're in my area, you can come stay with me for free. I'll take care of you. After his post went viral and more than 1,000 women responded to his request for a place to stay, he went on Facebook Live to clarify that he's not just a pretty face. He's looking for something real.
I want it to be the woman I'm finna lock in with. So whoever it is, fuck all that I look good shit. Is you really trying to lock in so we can get shit right?
Now be for real, ladies. If he came up to you and said he needed a place to stay, how would you respond? Leave a comment to let me know. I'm Tierka with the T. Follow for more.
So there's my brother, Big Boss Escobar. You know what I mean? He said it right. He said, stand by for a second. I'll be right back. Let me 1 second. I'll be right back. So, Mr. O, game is the ability to convince women who don't like you, like or respect you, to start liking and respecting you for the purpose of sexual attraction and reproduction. That is true. And it's also the ability to manipulate damaged women as well. You can use game in both of those ways. The fundamental problem is that what happens inevitably is that those short-term gains, it's like, I mean, if a guy just trying to unload something, it just takes effort and energy to game them. Really. I mean, we've traveled the world and we know how valuable time is and resources is. You know, a woman don't really like you, but you enjoy certain pleasures. The value of time for a successful, driven man, you know, if the goal is getting that box, resources and energy could be better used producing real value. And the achievement of what that woman has can be acquired through swifter means. If you know what I mean, my brother. Like, you know, game takes energy, effort, and time that could be used to be making some real serious buck. You know what I mean? Again, I mean, there's people that have this adage of like who like you, you know, and focused on the women that really like you. Now, the best version of you, not you being a bum and women like you, but the problem with game is that it takes time. It takes energy. Now, in our minds, we may say to ourselves, a guy like Big Boss Escobar is winning because he just has the dating relationship DNA that they like. But what ends up happening in situations like this is even guys like that get caught up, you know, with these women, especially if they start making babies with these women, you know. Because you can get into situations when you're dealing with these types of women. Like, I'll give you an example. If you check out this story right here, they don't just get off easily. You know, getting with certain types of women, they don't just get off easily. It says, what is it? Take care of the bad guys. And mom who uses a .38 revolver to gun down fathers of her children in 2 different states, killing one, learns her fate. So it's a Missouri mom who basically tracked down, you know, Taylor Santiago is her name. And again, look at this face right here. You know, Taylor Santiago, 31, of Aurora, pleaded guilty in April to charges of first-degree murder, robbery, unlawful use of a weapon, and endangering the welfare of a child in connection to a January 23rd attacks on Slayton, which were investigated and reported by the Aurora Marionville Police Department in Missouri and the Carroll County Sheriff's Office in Missouri. But it is not like these dudes out here winning in terms of getting these women. I mean, I mean, she just got like that's why I'm saying, like, you got to be careful with some of these broads, man. You can game up some of these broads, but you don't want to be gaming up certain women. Because that game up women, and, you know, these guys ain't living the life you think they living. You know, because this shit can get stressful. Like, literally, somebody had baby with a crazy woman. You know, it ain't all what guys say it's cracked up to be. But it will get you laid. But the most important game is understanding female nature. Because like I said, even the guys that are winning, we end up in situations like this. My man right here. So there's really no real winning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they be end up like this dude.
Look, I know I can't fight 100 men.
My rascal baby mother want double the child support now. She out here gunning me down.
Rasta monkey.
Boom back clot. She done sniff me out.
Me I come for you.
I can't survive the devil one woman. I feel my soul leave my dreadlocks. My rascal baby mother want double the child support now. She out here gunning me down.
Rasta monkey.
Boom back clot. She done sniff me out.
Me I come for you.
I can't survive the devil one woman. I feel my soul leave my dreadlocks.
That shit is funny as hell, man. But I'm saying, like, it's not like, you know, like you gaming up these women and you winning out here. But that's what they don't really tell you. You know what I mean? They really don't tell you that. So realistically, the best thing is men leveling up themselves, learning female nature, learning game, but game through leverage and options. You build yourself into the man you want to be and focus on the women, quality women who like you. So you don't want to be trying to rizz up or trying to game certain women in this delusional world. You know, if you're just trying to smash or something like that, hey, look. But at the same time, most of these broads are just transactional anyhow. So it is what it is. I'm not going to say that specifically, but if you got to do certain things to win, you do it. But let's not act like there's no consequences to rizzing up some of these or getting at some of these women, you know, getting in their pants. You know, some of them you don't even want to get in their pants because now you got a problem you're going to get rid of. You don't want to have that problem on your hands. As many times the juice ain't worth the squeeze. You know, you're probably better off contracting them services and getting rid of the body. Anyhow, never mind. I didn't say that. Let's move on forward. Because the amount of time you lose, the amount of valuable time you lose to build real power for yourself in life, I'll put it like that, is tremendously downgraded by trying to be a mouthpiece dude. Like, there's so much money to be made. Do you really have time to be sitting on the phone talking to 10 different broads or trying to game these women, you know, with no, you know, quick outcome so you can go back to focus on doing the things that are important, like making money? Now that's valuable, making money and positioning yourself for financial freedom. Now that's something that's valuable. And all your energies devoted towards trying to talk to some women that even think you're invisible to get what outcome? Some box. Half of it is boxed after you experience post-nut clarity. You don't even want that box in the first place. You know, you're like, oh my God. You start tapping your wrist and shit. Like, God damn. I could have, well, excuse my language, I mean, use God's name in vain. By the time you tap your wrist and do a time check, you didn't spend this time gaming this broad, and she's about as worthless as tits on a bull's ass. You're like, damn, I want my time back. The juice wasn't, you get post. This is what happens when you spend your time, trying to game these broads. You end up with that post clarity, and you're like, you say to yourself, man, I could have made me some money today. This is what happens when you try to game them broads. You're like, it happens every time. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what happens to us. We know it, mister. I know you know it, right? After you achieve your goal, you end up like this. Like, damn. Now you got to get that woman off your scent. Now you're like, yo, man, damn. I can't believe I smashed that chicken head yesterday. A peaceful life told me to leave that chick alone. But your hormones were charged and you gamed her. And now you're like this and shit. Damn. I want to take it back. Man. And that's what's happening to dudes now, man. You discovered that you just had sex with an empty vessel. And you're just looking at yourself in the mirror. Like, why did I do what I do? Why did I do that? It's like the ultimate fail. And that's what even dudes with game is experiencing this. You have game or what? You still, at the end of the day, at the end of the rainbow, you just consumed an empty vessel most of the time. And you can't wait to escape. Hormone levels are down. You didn't empty it out. And you want out. And you're like, oh, whew, I got to get this broad off my phone. You block her number. Man, I could have been making some money. It's like, why? Why? So even for the average man, if he has any self-esteem, this is usually where he ends up. If he has self-esteem, the average man, when he examines the package that he just consumed, the average man always ends here. But anyhow, I'll leave it at that, gentlemen. I'm going to get out of here for the day. I'll talk to you guys soon. Hey, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Peace and blessings to you, man. I know a lot of people go unappreciated. A lot of men don't get the appreciation that they need. But peace and blessings to you guys. I'm out of here. We'll talk soon.